to Fifi and Fidos again. Hope everybody made it through last week of the snow and ice and whatnot. I actually, frankly, was stuck in the house. I couldn't come down here, so I wanted to thank, Nick and Caitlin for coming in and being able to keep the store open. As promised, today we're going to kind of go over in general some of the supplements that I have used over the years, especially for Chica. At 15, I started a lot of these things when she was younger. She started having kind of arthritic conditions at somewhat of a young age, and I was kind of surprised at that. So what I'm going to do is, you see all these things up here, I'm going to kind of go over them, in a little bit, one at a time, and then the next two sessions I'm going to go into very specific detail on two of these particular supplements, these right here, and explain, because we'll have one entire one on the combination of these two supplements. When I first got Chica, she was kind of a nervous dog. She would get upset, and she would end up with, what I would call stress colitis. Uncontrollable diarrhea. It would then be bloody diarrhea, and then, we'd have to go to the vet and get, steroids and all that neat stuff. And I just decided I needed to figure out a way of finding something that would help with that. And so instead of doing the steroids and antibiotics and things like that, which we have not had to do for years, I opted to go naturally and found some products that actually have worked for me. And you can use this on, any dog. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be an older dog or whatnot, but these are some really good ones. This is great. It's basically a dried pumpkin and apple. It's by Digging Your Dog, which is also part of the Super Snouts family. We'll be getting into that in a minute. But the reason I like this is I can't tell you how many cans of pumpkin, would use 1 or 2 tablespoons out of it, and then the rest of it would sit in the refrigerator and get moldy. So this is cool because you can take out a spoon or however much, mix it in with a little bit of water, give it to it. Helps to regulate the water in the bowel, helps with, a little bit of diarrhea and constipation, both, which is odd, but it does. So that's a really good thing for, any kind of digestive issues that you have. This one here literally saved me. This is the Herbal Digestive Supplement. It used to be called Perfect Form. I guess it kind of still is, by The Honest Kitchen, and it has a mix of, like slippery elm and banana leaf, plantain, and it's a powder. Again, I like powders because you don't have to use them up all that fast. And what this allows us to do is, if our dogs, and I started pre-treating Chica, I guess you'd call it, if I knew she was going to be in a stressful situation, I would give her this like the day before with both her breakfast and her dinner if we were going to the vet the following day. Then breakfast that morning, if she was able to eat that morning, she'd get this. Doing that has prevented her from having or developing that stress colitis, having diarrhea. Her stools may have been a little bit loose, but it was very, very helpful for her. And again, female and male dogs, both, will have, urinary issues and whatnot. And what I do with Chica, and also with Tipper, because Tipper's a male and males can also have urinary issues as well, I keep this on hand. Again, another powder. Here we go. And this is the Super Snouts brand. It's a Urinary Berry, and it's a mixture of cranberry and blueberry. And the scoop size is teeny tiny. And it's just one of those things that I will, about once a month for 3 or 4 days, I will give this to both dogs. And what it kind of does is it keeps bacteria from being able to adhere to the bladder wall. And so it kind of, maybe preempts a little bit, any urinary tract infection. And Chica was very prone to them when she was younger. She's not as much now, and I kind of attribute it to this. And plus, she gets a lot of water. If you remember me talking about her food, she gets a very moisture-rich diet. I think that kind of helps to get everything passed through and keeps the urinary tract system, kidneys, and everything else working really well. Chica is a spayed female. And as she started getting older, she started having some small leaking, little accidents. And again, there's veterinary medication that can be used for those. Hers wasn't really bad. Hers was just a little leak here and there. And so I found this is called Tinkle Tonic by Animal Essentials. And now I give her some twice a day with her food. And that has kept her from having any issues whatsoever. And again, she's 15. You know, she's an old lady, and, you know, by golly, you know, she should be able to have the right if she, you know, has to leave, but she doesn't now. And you know, this really helps. It's very, very helpful. And we've had several customers who've had dogs that reacted poorly to some of the veterinary, you know, prescribed medications, and they had to take the dog off of it because the dog was panting or, you know, having bad reactions, and handled this fine, and it helped. Is it as effective? I don't know. Chica's never been on Proan, which is one of the drugs they use. I don't know. But this has proven very effective with Chica. Way back when I first got her, she was fine until she hit about 5 or 6, and then she started slowing down a little bit on her walks. And it took me a while to understand that that was the onset of some sort of an inflammatory condition like arthritis. Her feet weren't bad at that time, but they were forming the osteoarthritis in her paws. And I didn't really recognize it until she really, really started slowing down. So at about 8 years old, she was getting really very, very slow. And so I had this in the store, which is Joint Power. And I started her on that, and the difference was remarkable. Again, the reason I like this, and you'll hear this over and over in here, we use whole food supplementation because the body recognizes and uses whole foods better than it does a supplement that has binders and fillers, excipients, and other ingredients that the kidney and the liver then have to process out. So on this one, all this is green lip mussel powder. And that's, I mean, it's a shellfish out of New Zealand. And this, again, the serving size is about this big. She gets 2 a day of this. And it is a very powerful anti-inflammatory. It has omegas in it. So there's a lot to it. And I'd rather give her this than Cosequin, Dosequin, or glucosamine supplements because, again, it's a very pure, very simple. Body recognizes it and uses it. We've had multiple people who have come in over time telling us that once they started on this, they noticed better results than they did with the other supplements that they had been using. So that's customer testimony as well as mine with Chica, with my own personal pup. I started adding these in too. What is this? This is super shrooms. What this is a combination of 7 different medicinal type mushrooms. Again, you'll notice super snouts, a very pure product. I'm very holistic, obviously. This is a holistic nutrition center. But I'm also very science-based, and you'll hear that, especially when we start getting into some of these other things, like the turmeric and things like that. We'll be talking about in more depth in future, videos. But I want some science behind that, and the people that own this company, Christy and Dawn and everybody else, they're very scientific in their approach to their supplements. And this is again a blend of 7 mushrooms. What are they good for? There have been some studies on turkey tail mushrooms, for example, multiple studies on helping with some cancers. I'm not going to say it's a cancer cure. No, it's not, but it can certainly help. But it's very much of an immune booster. So this is one thing that we definitely will add into the diet. And I started this with Chica back when I started with the joint supplement that I was using, the Joint Power. And why not? It helps to boost the immune system. She's 15, and so something I'm doing is working. But those are some of the supplements that you can add in. You not necessarily need to do it for your guys, but it's just something to think about as far as that. As Chica aged, her arthritis became very apparent. Her feet started to become very painful. I saw a vet, I guess it was about 6 years ago, and she said that she was going to be crippled and pretty much unable to walk at the rate the osteoarthritis was really progressing in her paws. And I kind of looked at the vet and said, "Oh no, she's not. I will find something that's going to help my pup." And so I did, and thankfully one of my customers introduced me to turmeric, and not just any turmeric. And I am now, disclosure, I'm an admin on an international turmeric users group that was started by a veterinarian. It is extremely science-based. And again, that's what I love about this. We have the science behind why this works. So this is just a bag of turmeric. But the turmeric paste, the golden paste, is something that we're going to talk about in a lot more detail because there's so much more to it. But I will tell you that I started Chica on this turmeric golden paste on a Monday. I saw nothing on a Tuesday. I saw nothing Wednesday. On Thursday, Chica started we went out the door and she started pulling like she was a puppy again. It was like all that time she wasn't feeling that good. It was all behind her. And she has not stopped since. She still acts like a fool. She was doing that this morning. And that's a good thing. What it does is it's an anti-inflammatory. It's also antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial. And it can help slow down the progression of chronic inflammation, and it's good for a lot of inflammatory conditions other than arthritis. There are a lot of, there's over 13,000 published studies on it. So again, my science geek comes out. So it's an amazing product. It's, again, inexpensive. It's very easy to make, and it just works. As Chica got older, and again, there's only so much you can do on this, I decided that she was getting restless at night, having somewhat of a sundowner syndrome. And so I decided, in addition to that, I would put her on some CBD. And again, you'll see again the super snouts. These guys, again, the science behind their products is what has them on my shelves. They use nano emulsion technology, which means it is water soluble, so more bioavailable. You get a lot more bang for the buck, basically. With oils, you're lucky if you get 5 to 10% absorption, and that's assuming under the tongue, which is where CBD oil is supposed to be done, not put on food and water. This is actually water soluble, and this has helped her, again, a lot. This whole anti-inflammatory thing, because it is anti-inflammatory, it also is calming with her anxiety. And instead of getting up in the middle of the night and wandering, the sundowner syndrome is what I call it, she settled down, and now she sleeps through the night. So that's one of the other things that I added. And you should see me. I was just telling the guys that you should see my morning and evening routine with the dogs. I have, lots of supplements that I'm putting in their food. But I've also started Tipper on some of these things too. The anti-inflammatory supplements, life is full of inflammation. Inflammation creates a lot of havoc in the body. No matter how low inflammatory your diet is, time and age is going to, cause inflammation. So I started Tipper on it when he was young. But the latest thing in the arsenal is, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. I actually tried it once, but we're going to call it PEA. And this is an essential, it's a fatty amide, and it works on a completely different metabolic clearance than some of the other things, medications and things. It's one of the very few things, our body makes it naturally, but as we age, it gets a little bit less. I have a friend who has chronic Lyme disease who is now taking this, and she says she's seeing significant results. It does help with pain management and, again, with inflammation. And we'll get into this, again, a little bit more in detail. But these are, like I said, these are just some of the things that I do and have done over the years to get Chica to be 15 years old and still spunky running around, even with her badly deformed arthritic feet. So next time we talk, we'll be talking again in significantly more detail about the turmeric golden paste and whatever else, that pops into our heads, I guess. But anyway, thanks for the attention, and we'll talk to you next time.